The trail snaked through the woods, a dark ribbon against the vibrant green. Each step I took seemed to echo with the whispers of the forest, the rustling leaves and distant calls of wildlife creating a symphony of nature. The path was narrow, almost hidden, as if it was a secret only the forest knew. It beckoned me deeper, promising solitude and adventure. Sunlight, dappled and hesitant, filtered through the dense canopy. The interplay of light and shadow created a mesmerizing dance on the forest floor. It was as if the sun was playing hide-and-seek with the trees, casting fleeting glimmers of warmth in the cool, shaded undergrowth. The air was filled with the earthy scent of moss and fallen leaves, a reminder of the life cycles that thrived here. A sense of isolation hung heavy, broken only by the chirping of unseen birds. Their songs were both a comfort and a reminder of the wildness that surrounded me. The forest was alive, yet it felt like a world apart, a sanctuary from the chaos of everyday life. The deeper I ventured, the more I felt the weight of the outside world lift from my shoulders. It was the kind of isolation I craved. The solitude allowed me to reflect, to listen to my own thoughts without the constant interruptions of modern life. Here, I was just another creature in the vast tapestry of nature, insignificant yet profoundly connected to everything around me. I, Arthur Davies, a man on the cusp of 50, found solace in these solitary adventures. Each journey into the wild was a chance to reconnect with a part of myself that often got lost in the daily grind. The forest was my refuge, a place where I could be free from the expectations and pressures of society, away from the clamour of city life, the insistent ringing of the telephone, the demands of my shop. The city, with its relentless pace and constant noise, felt like a distant memory as I immersed myself in the tranquility of the forest. Here there were no deadlines, no customers to please, just the simple, unhurried rhythm of nature. Here, in the embrace of nature, I found peace. The forest was a living, breathing entity, and I was a part of it. The gentle rustle of leaves, the distant murmur of a stream, the occasional rustle of an animal in the underbrush, all these sounds blended into a soothing symphony that calmed my mind and rejuvenated my spirit. This trip was to be no different. I had planned meticulously, ensuring I had everything I needed for a week of solitude and exploration. My backpack was filled with essentials, and as I set up my campsite, I felt a sense of anticipation and excitement. The forest was my playground, and I was ready to embrace whatever adventures it had in store for me. A week in the heart of Redwood National Park, my tent nestled beside a gurgling stream, a fire crackling merrily at night. The towering redwoods stood like ancient guardians, their presence both humbling and awe-inspiring. Each night as I sat by the fire, I felt a deep sense of contentment, knowing that I was exactly where I was meant to be. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. It was perfect. Each breath I took was a reminder of the purity and simplicity of nature. The mornings were especially magical, with the forest bathed in a soft golden light. It was in these moments that I felt truly alive, connected to the world in a way that was both profound and deeply satisfying. The ranger's warning about the old logging trail echoed in my mind. Local legends, he'd chuckled. Best avoided after dark. He had a knowing look in his eyes, one that suggested he had seen things he couldn't quite explain. His words lingered, creating a sense of foreboding that I tried to shake off. I, ever the pragmatist, dismissed it as folklore, stories meant to scare off the superstitious and the faint-hearted. I'd always prided myself on being rational, grounded in reality. Ghost stories and local myths were for children, and the gullible not for someone like me. Yet as twilight painted the sky in hues of purple and orange, an uneasiness settled upon me. The vibrant colours of the sunset seemed to cast long, eerie shadows that danced at the edge of my vision. The beauty of the twilight was undeniable, but it also felt like a prelude to something darker. The forest, alive with sound moments before, grew eerily silent. It was as if the entire woodland was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The usual symphony of nature, the chirping of crickets, the rustling of leaves, had ceased abruptly, leaving an oppressive silence. The chirping insects, the rustling leaves, all seemed to hush as if holding their breath. It was an unnatural silence, one that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I strained my ears, hoping to catch any sound that would break the stillness, but there was nothing. Even the wind, which had danced playfully through the trees, died down, leaving an unsettling stillness in its wake. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating, as if the forest itself was closing in on me. The absence of the wind's gentle caress added to the growing sense of dread. I built my fire, the flames a comforting presence against the encroaching darkness. The crackling of the firewood and the warmth of the flames provided a small measure of relief. The light from the fire created a small circle of safety, a barrier against the unknown that lurked in the shadows. The shadows from the dancing flames stretched and twisted, taking on ominous shapes in my peripheral vision. They seemed to move with a life of their own, morphing into figures that vanished as soon as I tried to focus on them. It was as if the darkness was playing tricks on my mind. I chalked it up to an overactive imagination, a side effect of too much solitude. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was not alone. The forest, with its unsettling calm, seemed to be watching me, waiting for the right moment to reveal its secrets. The ranger's warning echoed once more in my mind, and for the first time I wondered if there was more truth to the legends than I had initially believed. Sleep was a long time coming that night. Every creak of a branch, every rustle of leaves sent a jolt of adrenaline through me. The silence was broken only by the crackling fire and the frantic thumping of my own heart. Then I heard it, a faint whisper, carried on the barely there breeze. It seemed to come from deep within the woods, just beyond the circle of firelight. I strained to listen, holding my breath, but the sound came again, a low, mournful sigh. My mind raced. Was it an animal, the wind playing tricks on my ears? But deep down a primal fear whispered a different answer. Something was out there, something unseen, but watching. Driven by a mixture of curiosity and morbid fascination, I grabbed my flashlight and cautiously approached the edge of the woods. The beam of light cut through the darkness, revealing nothing but the silent, watchful trees. The whispering had stopped, replaced by an even more unsettling silence. It was as if the forest itself was holding its breath, watching my every move. The air grew heavy, thick with an unseen menace that pressed down on me, stealing my breath. I took a hesitant step back, my hand trembling. The rational part of my mind screamed at me to return to the safety of the fire, but something held me there, rooted to the spot by a growing sense of dread. So section 5, eyes in the darkness. That's when I saw them, two pinpoints of light glowing faintly in the darkness just beyond the reach of my flashlight. They seemed to hover there, unblinking, watching me with an unnerving intensity. Fear, cold and sharp, shot through me. My heart hammered against my ribs, my breath caught in my throat. I wanted to scream, to run, but my legs refused to obey. I was paralyzed, trapped in the gaze of whatever lurked in the shadows. The eyes blinked, and for a fleeting second I saw the outline of a face, gaunt and pale, framed by long dark hair. A chill ran down my spine, and I knew with a certainty that went beyond logic that I was in terrible danger. The eyes vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving me alone in the suffocating darkness. The silence was shattered by the sound of my own ragged breathing, loud in the stillness. The oppressive weight of unseen eyes bore down on me. Fear, raw and primal, took hold. It wrapped its icy fingers around my throat, squeezing the air from my lungs. My carefully constructed composure crumbled, replaced by a raw, animalistic instinct to flee. Turning on my heel, I ran. I didn't care about the flashlight, didn't care about the noise I was making. All that mattered was putting as much distance between me and those terrifying eyes as possible. The forest floor seemed to reach up, grabbing at my ankles, trying to trip me. Branches whipped at my face, drawing blood, but I didn't slow down. The sound of my own panicked gasps filled my ears, urging me onward. Behind me I could hear the whisper again, closer now, laced with a chilling amusement. It spurred me on, fueled my terror, turning the flight into a desperate scramble for survival. I didn't dare look back. I didn't need to. I could feel the presence of whatever pursued me, cold and relentless, like the touch of death itself. I burst out of the tree line, gasping for breath, my clothes torn, my body battered and bruised. The faint glow of dawn painted the eastern sky, a cruel reminder of the night I had endured. The normalcy of it, the everyday beauty, felt like a betrayal. Collapsing onto the dew-covered grass, I looked back at the dark wall of trees. The forest was silent now, the whispers gone, the eyes vanished, but the terror lingered, a cold knot in the pit of my stomach. The rising sun, normally a welcome sight, offered little comfort. It felt alien, distant, as if I had crossed some invisible threshold and returned forever, changed. I never went back. The forest, once a place of solace and adventure, had transformed into a realm of nightmares. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig now carried with it a sense of impending doom. The memory of that night, of the eyes that watched me from the darkness, remained seared into my mind. Those eyes, glowing with an unnatural light, seemed to pierce through my very soul, leaving me paralyzed with fear. The rational part of me knew I should dismiss it as a nightmare, a trick of the light and an overactive imagination. Yet no matter how much I tried to convince myself, the terror I felt was all too real. But deep down in the primal recesses of my being, I knew the truth. There was something out there, something that defied logic and reason. It was as if the forest itself had come alive, harboring a dark secret that it was unwilling to reveal. Something lurks in those woods, something ancient and malevolent. It was a presence that could be felt rather than seen, a malevolence that hung in the air like a thick fog, suffocating and inescapable, and it had seen me. Those eyes, filled with an ancient hunger, had locked onto me, marking me as its prey. The feeling of being watched, of being hunted, was something I could never shake off. The experience left an indelible mark, a scar on my psyche that time could not erase. Every time I closed my eyes, I was back in that forest, reliving the terror of that night. It was a wound that refused to heal. The wilderness, once my sanctuary, now held a sinister edge. The trees, once towering protectors, now seemed like looming sentinels, guarding the secrets of the dark. The forest had become a place of dread, a place I could no longer find peace. The call of the wild, once a siren song, was now a whisper of warning. The songs of the birds, the rustling of the leaves, all seemed to carry a message of caution, urging me to stay away. I was left with a profound understanding of the darkness that lies at the heart of all things, a darkness that whispers of things best left undisturbed. It was a lesson learned the hard way, a reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved, and some places are better left unexplored.